Commander Krell stood at the viewport of the exploration vessel Endurance, his thick, gray exoskeleton gleaming under the ship's lights. He gazed at the stars with 4 dark eyes, each scanning different sections of space. Behind him, 20 crew members worked at their stations. Their bodies evolved for the harsh conditions of their home world Visar 9. Commander, I've detected unusual signals from an unmapped system, Science Officer Zara said. Her voice was deep and raspy, a trait all Visari shared from breathing their dense, toxic atmosphere. Krell turned to face her. Show me. Zara's 6-fingered hand moved across her console. A holographic display appeared, showing a yellow star with 9 planets. The 3rd planet is the source. It shows signs of technology, atmosphere, and large water bodies. Primitive life forms? Krell asked, mandibles clicking with interest. Advanced enough for radio signals and artificial satellites, Zara replied. But the readings are strange. The planet experiences extreme temperature variations, powerful storms, and dangerous radiation from its sun. Engineer Drav joined them, his bulky frame towering over Zara. What kind of life could survive there? The gravity readings are only 0.37 of Visar standard. Weak creatures, no doubt, Krell said. But perhaps they have resources we can use. The Visari had explored 50 star systems over the past century. Their own world was considered the harshest inhabited planet in known space. With crushing gravity, toxic atmosphere, and constant meteor bombardment, Visar 9 had shaped its people into the strongest, most resilient species in their part of the galaxy. Their exoskeletons could withstand pressures that would crush other known life forms. Their lungs filtered toxic gases. Their muscles were dense and powerful from fighting the pull of their massive world. Send our findings to High Command, Krell ordered. Request permission to investigate. 3 days later, the approval came through. The Endurance changed course toward the yellow star and its 3rd planet. During the journey, the crew gathered in the ship's assembly hall. The massive room was built with the typical Visari architecture, reinforced walls, low ceilings, and heavy furnishings designed to withstand the strength of its users. This will be our 67th first contact, Krell announced to his crew. But this one is different. The planet, which the signals identify as Earth, appears to have conditions that should make advanced life impossible. Science Officer Zara stepped forward. The atmosphere contains high levels of oxygen, which we know is highly corrosive. The planet experiences extreme weather, from freezing storms to burning heat. There are active volcanoes, earthquakes, and dangerous wildlife, the crew murmured among themselves. Many found it hard to believe anything intelligent could evolve in such conditions. How do they survive? Asked Medical Officer Pox, her exoskeleton a lighter shade than the others marked, with the blue symbols of her profession. That's what we're going to find out, Krell replied. Whatever life exists, there must be struggling. They might welcome our help and protection. Security Chief Gorv slammed his massive fist on the table, barely denting the ultra-reinforced metal. Or they might be desperate and dangerous. Struggling species often attack when threatened. A valid concern, Krell acknowledged. That's why we'll approach with caution. Full defensive systems, but no aggressive posture. We represent the Visari Collective, and we will act with appropriate dignity. As the Endurance approached Earth, the sensors gathered more data. The crew watched with growing amazement as images of the blue planet appeared on their screens. It's mostly water, Zara said, her voice filled with disbelief. Acidic water, covering more than 70% of the surface. The land masses show incredible variation, added cartographer Lenz. Frozen regions, massive deserts, dense vegetation. How could any single species adapt to all these conditions? Krell studied the readings carefully. Perhaps they don't. Maybe different species evolved for different regions. The ship's AI interrupted with an alert. Commander, I've intercepted and translated more transmissions. The dominant species calls. Themselves humans. They appear to inhabit all regions of the planet. Impossible, Medical Officer Pox said. No single species could adapt to such diverse conditions without extreme specialization. The same species lives in freezing regions and burning deserts? Engineer Drav asked. How do their bodies handle such changes? We'll soon find out, Krell said. Bring us into orbit. Begin passive scanning of their population centers. Let's see these humans before we make contact. The Endurance entered Earth orbit carefully, staying beyond the range of what they assumed were primitive defense systems. The ship's sensors focused on major cities, gathering images and data. The crew gathered around the main display, staring in shock at what they saw. They're so fragile, Zara whispered. The humans moved about their cities in bodies that seemed impossibly delicate to Vizari eyes. No protective exoskeleton, minimal muscle mass compared to a Vizari, in skin that looked like it would tear. At the slightest impact, how did they survive? Gorv asked. A single Vizari child could defeat dozens of these creatures. Yet they've built cities, technology, art, Krell noted. There must be more to them than appears. As they watched, the screens showed humans engaging in activities that made no sense to the Vizari. Some jumped from great heights with only fabric to slow their fall. Others swam in the vast oceans. Some climbed frozen mountains with minimal protection. Are they suicidal? Pox asked, genuinely confused. No, Krell said slowly. I think they single quotes enjoying it. The revelation stunned the crew into silence. Commander, Communications Officer Hawk called out. I've analyzed their defense capabilities. They have nuclear weapons, but their delivery systems are primitive. Their detection technology has almost certainly spotted us by now. Then it's time, Krell decided. Prepare a first contact package. Standard protocols. We'll transmit our peaceful intentions, then request permission to send a landing party. As the message was prepared, Krell returned to the viewport, staring down at the blue planet. For the first time in his long career, he felt uncertain. Something about these humans bothered him. They seemed so weak, yet they had conquered a world that, by all Vizari understanding, should have destroyed them. Perhaps, he said quietly to himself, we have something to learn here. The signal was sent. The Endurance waited for Earth's response. Crew didn't know it yet, but they were about to discover that their definition of harsh was about to change forever. Lily Martinez stared at the large screen in the control room of the Rocky Mountain Defense Station. The blinking dot had appeared 12 hours ago and had since moved into Earth orbit. There was no doubt now it was an alien spacecraft. Get me the latest sensor readings, she ordered, brushing her short brown hair away from her face. Alan Wright, the station's lead scientist, handed her a tablet. It's massive, Commander. At least 3 times larger than our biggest space station. And the metal in that hull, our scanners can't even identify it. Lily studied the readings with a frown. After years of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, first contact was happening during her shift. The weight of this moment wasn't lost on her. Have they made any aggressive moves? She asked. None, Alan replied. They're just sitting there, observing. They must know we've seen them. The emergency line buzzed. Lily answered it immediately. Commander Martinez, this is Major Ben Carter from North American Defense Coalition. I'm on my way to your location with the first. Contact team. ETA 30 minutes. Understood, Major, Lily said. We'll continue monitoring the situation. After she hung up, Alan pointed to his screen. Commander, they're broadcasting something. The message came through all frequencies, a series of mathematical sequences followed by simple images, universal. Language basics. Then came words in perfect English. Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Vizari Collective, peaceful explorers from the star you would call HD 147,513. We request permission to send a small delegation to your planet for diplomatic exchange. The control room fell silent. They speak English? Someone finally asked. They must have analyzed our broadcasts, Alan said. Impressive translation work. 30 minutes later, Major Ben Carter arrived with his team. He was a tall man with a stern face that rarely showed emotion. Behind him came Dr. Olivia Ross, the nation's leading xenobiologist, and Greg Powell, a diplomatic specialist. What's the situation? Ben asked without preamble. Lily briefed him quickly. They're requesting permission to land. No aggressive action so far. Have you responded? Greg asked. No, we were waiting for you. Ben nodded. Good. Let's see what they look like first. Request visual communication, he ordered. Alan typed rapidly. Message sent. Minutes later, the main screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. The humans gasped collectively. The alien had 4 dark eyes set in a gray, armored face with sharp mandibles. Its head was larger than a human's, with a thick neck that seemed to blend into a powerful upper body. I am Commander Krell of the Vizari Collective, the alien said. Its mouth movements didn't match the words. Some kind of translation technology was at work. We come in peace to study your world and establish diplomatic relations. Ben stepped forward. I am Major Ben Carter, representing the United Earth Alliance. We welcome peaceful contact. May I ask the purpose of your visit? The alien seemed to consider this. We are explorers, studying life forms throughout our galaxy. Your world has unique properties that interest us greatly. Dr. Ross whispered to Ben. They look like they evolved under intense pressure. Those exoskeletons could withstand tremendous force. Ben nodded slightly before addressing Krell again. We would be happy to establish diplomatic relations. We suggest a neutral meeting ground for our first face-to-face contact. Agreed, Krell said. We will send 3 representatives in a landing craft. Please provide coordinates for this meeting. After the transmission ended, the room burst into activity. Ben turned to his team. I don't like how they were looking at us, he said quietly. Like we were some kind of science experiment. Or like they pitied us, Lily added. We should be cautious, Greg advised. But this is still historic. The first confirmed contact with an alien civilization. Ben looked unconvinced. Get me the president, and contact all military bases within 100 miles. I want jets in the air when these aliens land. 12 hours later, the landing site was prepared. A large military base outside Denver had been transformed into a welcoming area. A simple stage was set up on the parade ground, with flags from all Earth nations displayed prominently. Military vehicles surrounded the area, hidden just out of sight. Fighter jets patrolled overhead. Ben wasn't taking any chances. They're coming, Alan announced, watching his tablet. One small craft, as promised. The alien ship descended slowly from the clouds. It was oval-shaped and surprisingly graceful for something so large. It hovered for a moment before settling on the open ground. For a full minute, nothing happened. Then a door slid open, revealing a ramp. 3 aliens emerged. Each wore what appeared to be a sealed environmental suit, though their powerful builds were still obvious. They moved carefully, as if afraid the ground might break beneath them. The lead alien, slightly larger than the others, approached slowly. Ben stepped forward to meet him, with Olivia and Greg flanking him. Commander Krell, I presume? Ben said. The alien nodded, the motion looking stiff and practiced. Yes, these are Science Officer Zara and Cultural Specialist Mox. The alien's voice sounded different in person, deeper, with an odd vibration that made the humans' teeth tingle. "Welcome to Earth," Ben said. "This is Dr. Olivia Ross, our xenobiology expert, and Greg Powell, our diplomatic liaison." Krell studied them through his helmet. "Your atmosphere. You breathe this naturally?" Olivia nodded. "Yes. Is it uncomfortable for you?" "It contains elements corrosive to our biology," Zara said. "Primarily oxygen in such high concentrations." The humans exchanged glances. Oxygen was corrosive to the aliens? "Perhaps we could provide a more comfortable environment," Greg offered. "These suits protect us adequately," Krell said. "We are surprised your species survives in these conditions. The low gravity alone would weaken most life forms we've encountered." "Low gravity?" Olivia asked. "Earth's gravity is perfectly normal for us." Krell made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Your world has 0.37 of the gravity we consider standard. It's remarkable you can develop any muscle mass at all." Ben noticed how carefully the aliens moved. Every step was measured, every gesture restrained Dot as they walked toward the meeting building. Krell placed his hand on a metal railing. The metal bent slightly under his casual touch. "My apologies," he said, quickly removing his hand. "We are still adjusting to your fragile environment." Ben watched the dented railing with growing concern. These aliens were incredibly strong, and they clearly thought humans were weak. "Tell me about your world," Ben said as they entered the building. "Vezar 9 is a planet of strength," Krell replied with obvious pride. "Much larger than Earth, with denser atmosphere and stronger gravity. Our days are filled with challenges that would destroy most species. And yet here we are," Ben said carefully, "each adapted to our own world." "Indeed," Krell replied, his four eyes focusing on Ben with an intensity that was unsettling. "Though we must admit, we're curious how your species survives the many dangers of this harsh planet." "Dangers?" Greg asked. "The extreme temperature variations," Zara explained. "The weather patterns. The radiation from your sun. The predators. The diseases. Truly, Earth is one of the most inhospitable worlds we've discovered. That still supports advanced life." The humans tried not to show their surprise. The aliens thought Earth was harsh. Lightning flashed outside, followed by a rumble of thunder. All three aliens flinched visibly. "What was that?" Mox asked, looking alarmed. "Just a thunderstorm," Olivia explained. "Perfectly normal weather." The aliens looked at each other. This first meeting was clearly going to be full of surprises for both species. The meeting room was designed to impress. Large windows showed the Rocky Mountains in the distance. A heavy oak table sat in the center, surrounded by comfortable chairs. To the humans, it looked perfectly normal. To the Vizari, it was alarmingly. Fragile Dot Krell sat down carefully on a reinforced chair that had been quickly prepared for the aliens. Even so, the metal groaned under his weight. Zara and Mox remained standing, afraid to damage the human furniture. "Perhaps we could start by sharing information about our respective worlds," Greg suggested, "to better understand each other." "An excellent proposal," Mox agreed. As the cultural specialist, he seemed most interested in communication. "On Vizar 9, we face constant challenges. Our gravity is nearly 3 times what you experience here. Our atmosphere contains high levels of methane and sulfur compounds. Those would be toxic to us," Olivia noted. "Just as your oxygen-rich air would kill a Vizari without protection," Zara added. "Your world is ... peculiar to us. So much water in liquid form, such thin air, such weak gravity." En leaned forward. "Yet you called Earth harsh. Why?" The three aliens exchanged looks through their helmets. "Your temperature variations are extreme," Krell explained. "Parts of your world freeze while others burn. You have weather patterns that tear buildings apart, oceans that create massive waves, volcanoes, earthquakes. How do you survive these conditions? We adapt, Ben said simply. We build structures to withstand the conditions. We develop technology to predict dangers. We move away from threats when needed. Fascinating, Mox said, making notes on a device strapped to his arm. Your species chooses adaptation over strength. Outside, the storm grew stronger. Rain pelted the windows. Thunder boomed louder. Zara flinched again. These electrical discharges, how frequently do they occur? It varies by region, Olivia explained. Some places might see storms weekly, others rarely. And you just endure them? Mox asked, sounding genuinely concerned. They're not usually dangerous if you take basic precautions, Greg said with a shrug. The conversation continued for hours. The humans explained Earth's various environments, from deserts to rainforests, from mountains to oceans. The Vizari listened with growing amazement. You're saying humans can live in all these different environments? Zara asked. Without special adaptations? We use clothing, shelter, and technology, Ben explained. But yes, the same human can live in the Arctic or the Sahara, given the right equipment. Remarkable, Krell said. On our world, leaving our protected cities means death. Within minutes. The surface is bombarded by radiation and meteors. The pressure would crush your bones instantly. A loud crack of thunder directly overhead made the building shake slightly. Mox jumped to his feet, bumping the table. The solid oak cracked down, the middle splitting the table in two. I apologize, Mox exclaimed, clearly embarrassed. Your furniture is so delicate. It's fine, Ben assured him, though he noted how easily the alien had destroyed the heavy table. Perhaps we should continue this tomorrow. You must be tired from your journey. We do not require rest as frequently as Zara began, but Krell interrupted her. We accept your suggestion. Perhaps we could see more of your world tomorrow. After the aliens returned to their landing craft, Ben gathered his team in a secure room. They're incredibly strong, he said. And they clearly think we're fragile creatures barely surviving on a dangerous planet. It's all relative, Olivia pointed out. Their homeworld sounds nightmarish by our standards. Of course, Earth seems mild to us. We evolved here. Did you notice how they move? Lily asked. So careful and restrained. I think they're afraid they'll break everything they touch. They probably will, Alan added. That table was solid oak. Mox barely bumped it. Greg looked thoughtful. We need to show them that while we may not have their physical strength, we have other kinds of strength. Adaptability, ingenuity, endurance. Agreed, Ben said. Tomorrow, let's give them a tour they won't forget. The next morning dawned clear and bright. The storm had passed, leaving the air fresh and clean. The Vizari emerged from their craft, still in their protective suits. We have prepared a demonstration of human activities, they announced, to help you understand our species better. The aliens were led to a large field where several demonstrations had been set up. First, a group of soldiers performed a physical training routine, running, climbing, lifting weights. Impressive coordination, Krell noted, though the weights seemed very light. Next came a demonstration of extreme sports. Mountain bikers raced down a steep trail. Rock climbers scaled a sheer wall. Skydivers jumped from a helicopter overhead. What are they doing? Zara asked, alarmed. Are they trying to kill themselves? No, Olivia explained. These are recreational activities. For fun? Fun? Mox repeated, the translation device struggling with the concept. You risk death for entertainment? The risk is calculated, Ben said. It's about testing limits, feeling alive. The final demonstration was the most impressive. A Special Forces team conducted a mock rescue operation. They moved through fire, water, and obstacles with practiced ease. They climbed, swam, and navigated through challenges that would be impossible on the Vizari homeworld. Your warriors are well trained, Krell acknowledged, though they lack natural protection. We compensate with technology and tactics, Ben replied. Later, they visited a hospital. The Vizari were fascinated by human medicine. You can replace damaged body parts? Zara asked, watching a video of a heart transplant. Without natural regeneration? We've developed many medical technologies, Olivia explained. Artificial limbs, organ transplants, gene therapies. Why not simply grow stronger bodies? Mox asked. Our strength isn't in our bodies, Greg said. It's in our minds, in our ability to solve problems. In the afternoon, they visited a factory where robots assembled cars. You create machines to do physical labor, Krell observed. Because your bodies are too weak. We create machines to do repetitive tasks so we can focus on innovation, Ben corrected. Efficiency, not weakness. As the day ended, they stood on a hilltop, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. Even the aliens seemed moved by the beauty. Your world is strange to us, Krell admitted, but we begin to understand. You've adapted to conditions we find harsh because they are normal to you, just as our world would seem harsh to you. Exactly, Ben said. Different doesn't mean better or worse, just different. A sudden gust of wind nearly knocked Mox off balance. The aliens still struggled with Earth's weather, finding it unpredictable and dangerous. Tomorrow, Krell said, steadying himself, we would like to show you something from our ship. A technology we think might interest you. What kind of technology? Ben asked cautiously. Protection, Krell replied. For your fragile world? The humans exchanged glances. They weren't sure if this was a generous offer, or if the aliens still didn't understand that humans didn't need saving from their own planet. The next morning, a helicopter carried the human team to the alien landing site. Krell had invited them to see something aboard their craft. Ben had hesitated, but ultimately agreed, bringing along Olivia, Greg, Lily, and Alan. Remember, we stay together at all times, Ben told his team as they approached the oval-shaped vessel. Any sign of trouble, we leave immediately. The alien ship's entrance opened, revealing a ramp that led inside. Krell waited for them at the top. Welcome to our humble transport, he said. The interior was surprisingly spacious, with high ceilings and wide corridors. Everything was made of the same strange dark metal that seemed to absorb light. This way to the demonstration area. The humans followed cautiously. They passed several other Vizari, who stopped to stare at the visitors. Ben noticed that inside their ship, the aliens moved more freely, no longer afraid of breaking things. This vessel was designed for exploration, Krell explained as they walked. It contains samples of life forms from 12 different worlds, scientific equipment, and defensive capabilities should we encounter hostile species. Have you found many hostile species? Greg asked. 3 that attacked without provocation, Krell replied. Many more that became aggressive when they felt threatened. It is the way of the universe. The strong survive, the weak adapt or perish. Ben frowned at the implication. And which category do you place humans in? Krell's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. That remains to be determined. They entered a large chamber filled with various devices. In the center stood a bulky machine with a glowing core. This is a gravitational stabilizer, Zara explained, joining them. It creates a field that can protect against geological instabilities. What you call earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, even severe weather patterns. You're offering to give us this technology? Olivia asked. We offer to install several around your planet, Krell said. They would make Earth safer for your people. Alan studied the device with interest. How does it work? It creates localized gravity wells that absorb and redistribute seismic energy, Zara explained. It also stabilizes atmospheric pressure systems to prevent severe storms. And what would you want in exchange? Ben asked directly. Access to study your species, Krell replied. You've adapted to conditions that should have prevented advanced civilization. We want to understand how. The humans exchanged glances. We need to discuss this privately, Greg said diplomatically. Of course, Krell agreed. But first, there is something else we wish to show you. A demonstration of our environmental training facility. They were led to another large chamber. This one contained what looked like an obstacle course, but far more intense than anything the humans had seen before. Parts of the floor glowed red-hot. Other sections were covered in jagged spikes. Strange machines fired projectiles across the room. Our warriors train here, Krell explained with pride, though the settings are currently at minimum intensity for safety. This is minimum intensity? Lily whispered to Ben. A young Vizari entered the training area. Even from a distance, the humans could see this alien was smaller, with a lighter exoskeleton, perhaps the equivalent of a teenager. The young Vizari began navigating the course, moving with impressive speed and strength. It leaped over burning sections, deflected projectiles with its armored arms, and climbed spiked walls. With ease. Impressive, Ben admitted. Would any of you care to attempt a section? Krell asked. We could adjust it for human capabilities. Before Ben could decline, Lily stepped forward. I'll try. Lily, this isn't a good idea, Ben warned. They need to see that we're not as fragile as they think, she replied quietly. Zara adjusted some controls. I've reduced all challenges to 10% intensity and increased atmosphere quality for your comfort. Lily entered the training area through a side door. She stood at the starting point, a simple platform before a series of obstacles. The first section only, Krell instructed the young Vizari, who nodded and moved aside. Lily took a deep breath and began. The first obstacle was a series of platforms over a section that now glowed only faintly warm. She jumped between them quickly, her human agility evident. Next came a wall with small handholds. She climbed it efficiently, using techniques from her military training. The Vizari watched in silence. Lily completed the first section and rejoined the group, slightly out of breath, but smiling. Well done, Krell said, sounding genuinely impressed. For a species adapted to low gravity, your coordination is remarkable. Thanks, I think, Lily replied. They continued the tour, seeing more of the alien technology. Everything was built for durability and strength, with backup systems for every critical component. The Vizari clearly valued resilience above all else. Finally, they returned to the ship's entrance. Consider our offer, Krell said. The gravitational stabilizers would protect your cities from many natural disasters. We will discuss it and give you our answer tomorrow, Ben promised. Back at the base, the human team gathered in the secure conference room. They're still treating us like we need saving from our own planet, Ben said, frustration evident in his voice. But the technology could be useful, Alan pointed out. Imagine being able to prevent earthquakes or hurricanes. At what cost? Olivia asked. They want to study us like lab rats. I don't think that's their intention, Greg said. They seem genuinely concerned for our welfare. That's what worries me, Lily replied. They see us as weaker beings needing protection. That kind of thinking has led to terrible outcomes throughout human history. Ben stood up and paced the room. I think we need to show them that we don't need their protection, that we're perfectly adapted to Earth because it's our home. How do we do that? Olivia asked. Ben smiled slowly. We take them on a field trip to places that would terrify them, but where humans thrive. And next morning, Ben presented their response to Krell. We appreciate your offer of the gravitational stabilizers, but before we decide, we'd like you to better understand our world. We've prepared a tour of several Earth environments over the next 3 days. What kind of environments? Krell asked. Places that showcase human adaptation and resilience, Ben explained. Our team is ready when you are. Krell consulted with Zara and Mox before agreeing. We are curious to see more of your world. When do we depart? Immediately, Ben said. Our first stop is a place called Death Valley. 6 hours later, there. Military transport plane landed at a small airstrip in Nevada. As they exited the aircraft, the heat hit them like a wall. It was 118 degrees Fahrenheit, and the sun blazed overhead in a cloudless sky. Welcome to one of Earth's deserts, Ben announced. We'll be hiking to an observation point about 2 miles. From here, the Vizari checked their environmental suits' readings with alarm. The temperature is extreme, Zara noted, and the humidity is nearly 0. How do humans survive here? Like this, Ben said, putting on a wide-brimmed hat and sunglasses. The rest of the human team did the same, each carrying only a water bottle and wearing light, breathable clothing. You're going out with just that minimal protection? Mox asked, clearly shocked. This is all we need for a short hike, Lily explained. Shall we? The Vizari followed reluctantly, their heavy environmental suits making each step difficult in the soft sand. This was just the beginning of Ben's plan to show the aliens that Earth wasn't harsh, at least not for the species that evolved there. The Vizari struggled through the Death Valley heat. Their environmental suits, designed to protect against much different dangers, made the journey difficult. Meanwhile, the humans walked easily, sipping water and pointing out interesting features of the desert landscape. How much further? Krell asked, his normally confident voice strained. Just over that ridge, Ben replied. There's a spectacular view. When they reached the viewpoint, even the aliens fell silent at the sight. The vast desert stretched before them, a landscape of golden sand and red rock under a brilliant blue sky. People live here? Mox asked eventually. Not many in Death Valley itself, Olivia explained, but millions live in desert regions around. The world. Humans have inhabited deserts for thousands of years. After their desert experience, the group boarded the plane again. Their next destination, the Amazon rainforest dot, they landed at a small clearing and stepped out into a wall of humidity. The air was thick, hot, and filled with the sounds of insects and birds. The oxygen content is even higher here, Zara noted with alarm, and there are millions of microorganisms in the air. It's one of Earth's most biodiverse regions, Alan explained as they followed a guide into the dense vegetation. More species live in this rainforest than anywhere else on our planet. The Vizari moved cautiously, startling at every sound. Their sensors detected countless life forms, from tiny insects to hidden mammals. To them, it seemed like walking into a nightmare. Too much life, too much variety, too much unpredictability. How do you defend against all these creatures? Krell asked, after nearly jumping out of his suit when a toucan called overhead. Most aren't dangerous to us, Lily said. We've learned which ones to avoid. They spent the night in a research station. The humans slept comfortably in simple hammocks, while the Vizari remained awake, their sensors constantly monitoring the surrounding jungle. The third location was perhaps the most challenging for the visitors. Mount Everest, base camp. Even reaching it required a difficult journey through increasing altitude. The air pressure is dropping to dangerous levels, Mox warned as their helicopter ascended, and the temperature is falling rapidly. This is why we brought these, Greg said, Handing out heavy winter gear to the human team at base camp, they met a group of mountain climbers preparing for an ascent. The Vizari watched in disbelief as the humans moved about in the thin, cold air with only their winter clothing for protection. Humans climbed to the summit? Krell asked, looking up at the distant peak. Without technological assistance? With some oxygen tanks for the highest parts, Ben explained. But yes, using mostly their own strength and skill. The cold alone would kill a Vizari in minutes without our suits, Zara said. Even with them, we find this environment extremely challenging. That's the point, Ben said quietly. What's harsh to one species is home to another. Their final destination was perhaps the most striking demonstration, the ocean. They traveled to a research vessel in the Pacific. 70% of our planet is covered in water, Olivia explained, as they stood on the deck. The Vizari kept well back from the railings, eyeing the waves with suspicion. Acidic liquid that would dissolve our exoskeletons, Zara noted. Yet you swim in it for recreation. Not just swim, Ben said with a smile. He nodded to Lily, who put on a wetsuit and diving gear. The Vizari watched in amazement as she dove into the water and disappeared beneath the surface. She returned in about 30 minutes, Ben assured them. She's exploring a coral reef below us. When Lily returned, she showed them underwater photos of colorful fish, delicate corals, and a world utterly alien to the Vizari. That evening, they gathered in the ship's conference room. After 4 days of experiencing Earth's most diverse environments, the aliens seemed subdued. We have misjudged your species and your planet, Krell admitted. What we saw as harsh conditions, you see as normal. What we thought were dangers, you've adapted to face. It's all about perspective, Greg said. To us, your world sounds impossibly harsh. It is harsh, Mox agreed, but it made us strong. In body, your world made you strong in adaptation. Different kinds of strength, Ben suggested. Krell nodded slowly. We came offering protection, believing you needed it. We were wrong. That doesn't mean we can't learn from each other, Olivia said. Your technology is impressive, and there are things we could share as well. There is something else we should tell you, Krell said, his tone growing serious. We didn't come to your system merely for exploration. The humans tensed. We are also searching for allies, Krell continued. Our home system is under threat from a species that makes both our races seem weak. They've already conquered 3 systems near ours. You're at war? Ben asked. Not yet. But it's only a matter of time, Zara explained. These beings, we call them the Vorax, consume all resources on planets they conquer. They're drawn to worlds with abundant life. Like Earth, Olivia said quietly. Exactly, Krell confirmed. If they detect your world, they will come. We thought you would need our protection. Now we see that perhaps what we need is an exchange of strengths. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. You want an alliance, Ben said finally. We have physical strength and advanced technology, Krell said. You have adaptability and a remarkable ability to thrive in conditions that would kill other species. Together, we might stand a chance against the Vorax. The humans exchanged glances. We'd need to discuss this with our leaders, Greg said. This goes far beyond our authority. Of course, Krell agreed. But consider this. Our initial scans of your system detected your world because of its unusual properties. The Vorax. We'll find it for the same reasons, eventually. 1 week later, representatives from Earth's nations met with the Vizari delegation. After days of discussion, the historic first treaty between humans and an alien species was signed. The agreement wasn't just about defense. It included scientific exchange, cultural programs, and the beginning of what both sides hoped would be a lasting friendship between 2 very different worlds. As the Vizari prepared to return to their ship Krell approached Ben privately. When we first arrived, we thought your people were fragile creatures, struggling to survive on a harsh world, he said. Now I understand. It's not that humans are strong despite Earth's conditions. You're strong because of them. Your planet forged your adaptability just as Visar 9 forged our physical strength. Ben nodded. Different challenges, different solutions. The Vorax won't understand that, Krell said. They believe only in conquest through overwhelming force. They've never faced species like ours, working together. Then they're in for a surprise. Ben replied with a smile dot as the Visari ship lifted off, heading back to orbit, and watched with mixed feelings. The universe had just become much larger and more complicated. There were new friends out there, and new dangers, but he wasn't worried. If there was one thing humans excelled at, it was adapting to new challenges. And now they had allies who saw strength in their differences, rather than weakness. The Visari had come looking for a primitive species, merely surviving on what they thought was a harsh planet. Instead, they found equals who thrived in conditions they found terrifying. Both species had learned an important lesson. True strength comes in many forms, and what seems impossible to one may be home to another.